Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new to this channel, kindly subscribe and hit that notification button to always get my updates. In today's tutorial, we'll talk about how do we create a module. Just as a reminder, what is a module? A module is just a Python file with an ending of .py that includes several functions that perform different tasks. So in today's tutorial, we'll talk about how do we create a module and how do we use it in our daily life. So let's begin by creating a Python file, and within this file we'll try to write some functions. All right, and so we'll say let's create some Python functions. All right, and some of these functions are going to be just simple. Let's say we'll create a function called add. All right, and this inputs x and y, and then it returns x plus y. All right, and so this means that when you pass x and y, it will return x plus y. All right, so let's try to define also another function. We call it subtract. All right, so this is going to subtract. Still it can input x and y, and then return x minus y. All right, so let's try to look at one more function, and then we can say I will call it power, and this is going to be okay. I will call it power. Let me just use the word power just like that, and then of x and y. All right, and then that returns, for example, z equals x to the power y, and then we say return z. Okay, so next we can look at one more function. Let's say we have a function that generates some arrays. All right, and we will say array generator, and this is left open. Okay, and then here okay, well, let's say it inputs some two numbers, a, b, and then what you call delta. All right, and then we have that x is going to be equal to np dot arrange, all right, of a, b, and delta. So as you can see that I'm using a function arrange, which I need to import from NumPy. So this means that even in any module you are trying to create, or even in other modules, we can still import other modules from, or we can still import borrow some other modules or functions. All right, so from this I'm going to say import NumPy as np. Likewise, I would like to generate some data that I can plot as well. So I can say import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Yeah, I think just that. All right, so let me proceed with this function, and then I can have that y is equal to x, then raised to power 2. All right, and then return x and y. So in this case, I think these are just good enough functions. Let's try to do to see how we can use these ones in our computations. So what I'm going to do is to simply save this file somewhere in the folder, especially that where the inbuilt functions for Python are saved. All right, so I'm going to say save, and then look for that library where Python was installed, and I'll go to this folder lib, and then navigate to a folder called site packages, where most of the Python modules are kept. As you can see, there's Jupyter, there's Pylab, there's Cycler, and so on. All right. So let me keep it here. Call it is a module. All right. So if I save it, it will be saved with an ending of .py. Alright, so as you can see, it is in my installation folder for Python, site packages, and so on, as is a module.py, version 3.82. So now when we have this is now our module, just like any other Python modules. So if I want to use this module, what I have to do is to first of all import this module in our working space. Alright, so let's keep it just like this, so that we also keep track of what functions we have in this module, and see how we can apply these modules in our computations. Alright, so what I'm going to do is to first of all import that module. So I'll say import easy module. Alright, so if I do that, I can import it as alright, is a module. So if I enter, then it will go to another line. That means it is now imported into my working space. Now, if I want to add two numbers, I need to call the add function, which is defined right here. So I'm going to come back here and say em.add, because I know add is within that. So em.add of two numbers. As you can see, it is even giving me the option of x and y, 2 and 3, which has to return 5. So if I enter, that will give me 5. All right, so as you can see, it's giving me 5. Now let's try to use another function, which is sum. Again, I'm doing the same thing. Import the call the module, which is em dot sum, and as you can see, it is asking for x and y, 5 and then 3, which is expected to return a 2. So likewise for the power, we are doing the same thing. Em dot power of 2 and 3, which returns 8, 2 power 3, which is 8. And then finally we can look at this function which we generated as array generator, that is given a, b, and delta, and then generates x and y. One more step we can go back in our module and implement is to write another function that can help us to plot, which is can call it is a plot, and keep it open. And what this function will do is to plot by calling plt first, plot x and y. Alright, but what is x and y? That has to be then also plt dot show, and then we can say return, well, we can say maybe let this be equal to z, just for simplicity, and z as well we show, and then finally we return z. Alright, so we need to save this again so that our function becomes effective, and then yeah, so okay, so it's running. Now let's continue and test these two remaining functions, how we can let a module do the plotting for us. So I'm going to say likewise em, I'm sure em is still remembered. Okay, let's try to import it again, like recalling it again. Okay, and so I'm going to say to have two arrays x and y, but I'm making a use of this array geno. So I'm going to say array gen. Alright, and it is waiting for a, b, and delta. So let's say we have our first term as 0, and then the next term as 4, and then finally in the delta we have 0.05, and that's what we have. And this has generated some squeezed text or lines of data, 289 of that, and then that means we have now our x and y generated. So we need now to go ahead and plot. So we need to know what is our x and our y. So basically our x is going to be of this function, the first array, which is in index, which is of index 0. So I can select that out by indexing that as 0, and likewise my y is of index 1 within this generated array, and so I'm changing this to 1. Alright, so that means now I have my x and y, and remember this array geno is the function within this module, is a module that helped me to generate x and y. Alright, because it's from this command that I'm generating x, and also y equals x squared. So then we return x and y. So let's try to plot. So I'm just going to call my isAplot function that inputs x and y. Alright, all I know is it needs there's something we did not put in our function here to let it input x and y. So I'm going to run this again just to make sure that my changes are effective, and my x, recall it again, and then I'll call my isAplot that takes in x and y, as you can see, x and y, and then finally if I run that, it has to return z, which is the plot.show. Alright, so when you run it again, you can see that it is plotting. So whatever we can do here, the changes can be reflected this way. For example, if you wanted to put on a grid, then we can say z equals plt dot grid. Grid. Alright, and then we can say z equals plt.xlabel, and x label we can have x-axis. Alright, and then I'm doing the same thing for the y, and this is y and y-axis, so this is y label, and then finally we have z equals plt dot title, and this is going to be module testing. Alright, so if I do that, I need to run it again so that the changes are implemented, and then I'll just call back my data for x and y, and then finally I call the function isAplot, and this is what we'll have. Alright, so this is how different modules are written, and to be used in performing different tasks. So in other words, this narrows us to the fact that a module is a collection of function, and functions written to perform different tasks. As you can see, I have written this function called isAplot that inputs are either arrays x and y that are arrays, all right, or lists, and then that finally does all these commands, put labels the plot, and then finally shows and then returns the plot, all right, which you have here. And we started up this way. As you can see, a function that generates arrays, the function that computes power, that does subtraction and addition. So I hope this gives you a good understanding of what is a module and what are functions, and basically what is in my previous video I talked about what is a library, what is a package, and what is a module, and what is a function. Alright, thank you so much guys for watching. Kindly hit that notification button to always get. Thank you so much guys for watching. Kindly hit that notification button to always get my updates for each and every video I post.